Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Inside Guns with your host, me, the Yankee Marshal. Now, I almost didn't do a show today, but I promised you all some information, and I wanted to follow through on that. Almost didn't do a show because it's just a mess in here right now. I don't know if you can't tell because through the magic of green screen and everything here, but I'm sitting in a construction zone. I mean, there's nail guns out and, stud finders and every tool you could think to need to build a wall. And I'm sitting in drywall dust and wood shavings and everything else because I'm building the vault wall. I'm building my gun vault finally. And I just built the wall. A side note on that, my son, I called him the other day, told him you have to come home so we can work on building this wall. He walks in the front door a little later with a Trump Make America Great hat on and goes, "Heard we're going to build a wall. Let's build it and make the neighbors pay for it." So that happened. But like I said, almost wasn't going to do this tonight, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. I had to jerry rig up some lights here. I hope you can see me well. In fact, I should probably put a little more light, but hopefully this will be enough. Because everything's down and all over the place. It's just a mess. But I promised you I'd give you some more information on what I learned about this whole TYM, Trident, FEG thing. When I did my first video, I said, I'm going off things everybody else has said so far. I'm not doing any further research myself. But since then, that's changed. I've actually done some research. And I am going to say I was wrong about one thing. The one thing I was wrong about is I kind of was under the impression that TYM found out about this last minute and swooped in at the last minute and stole some guns out from underneath people or whatever. Turns out that's not the case. Turns out I have been sent text messages from people who TYM contacted as far back as 2019. And he contacted them saying, hey, the AK Forum is working up this special deal to get these guns made and imported. And if we were to step in and become the wholesaler of those guns, the sole entity to take possession of them, we could make a lot of money. And the points he made to these people was, hey, I've got 1 million something followers. Or at the time it was, I forget how much it was, but it was a bunch of followers. She said, I have a bunch of followers. Those weren't the numbers in the letter, by the way. And I've got all these followers that would follow me, and I can get some other channels to help. And since these are coming in from FEG through an importer, I can get in there and I can say, hey, we'll buy all of them instead of you having to distribute them to different people and do all this other work, basically. And he went into the idea with them that if they were able to get all of them, and they were able to control the flow of them into the market, they could put them on a third-party market site like Gunbroker, and they could really drive up the price on them to where they could get multiple times what the guns would actually sell for retail. That's actually far worse than what I thought. I thought last minute came in and just took advantage of a situation that presented itself, like maybe these people weren't being fast enough coming through with it, whatever. But it appears he was planning this back as late 2019, as early as late 2019. That makes it worse, in my opinion, because that means he planned on swooping in and doing this in the beginning. And nowhere in those text messages or nowhere in his conversations with other people do they say he had at any time said, well, whichever ones are left after the people on the forum want it. No, it was if we can take control of all of them, we can control the flow to the market and we can make a huge profit. Now, I don't know if anyone took him up on that. Some people have asked me, has Larry Vickers taken him up on that? I'm like, I do not know. I do not even know if he contacted Larry Vickers. I'm sure he contacted Mr. Guns and Gear, an Iraq veteran, etc., and some other people. In fact, I kind of remember him mentioning it in passing myself. I blew it off. I just didn't have the full details at the time. And that's when he called me one time. But I think it might have been why he called me, to be honest. But that's worse as far as I'm concerned. That means he's been planning to do this since these people set the ball in motion, or since shortly after they set the ball in motion. And apparently one of the people who works at Copper Customs has been the guy in charge of monitoring the forums, making sure where this is at in the production line, because the guy from FEG that arranged all this with the people on the AK forum. And I suggest everyone go over and read the information on the AK forum. Everything I have said is available over there, only not worded as nicely. So go over and check it out. But they monitored the forum, the updates from the guy from FEG, so they knew where they were in production, they knew where they were in shipping, they knew when they were going to be imported, blah, blah, blah. So like I said, to me, that's way worse. This wasn't stepping in and taking advantage of a business opportunity that presented itself last minute. It wasn't saying, hey, this is totally legal, so screw them. They didn't get their shit together and they didn't get them, so I took them. It's not that. It's a planned event. It's a scheme, I would dare say, that's been in motion for quite a while. And that makes it a lot harder for Mac to paint himself in a positive picture here. Now, I know a lot of people have been contacting me the last day. And by the way, this is going to be the only topic we cover tonight because, like I said, it's a mess in here. I'm filthy dirty and got to move on with other things right now. But so this will be the only topic tonight. So once we're done talking here, it'll be over. But I know a lot of people are upset with thinking that you're going to get sued. Mac's going to sue you. And he did post a post on Patreon today saying, I tried to contact them. They wouldn't talk to me. And I can't respond again because of the lawyers from Copper Customs. Really? The lawyers are telling you not to respond? Because I can't believe any lawyer would be telling you that you're going to sue on this. Because all of this is public information that anyone has access to and anyone can repeat. And then they can say whether they believe it or not. You can counter it and you can say all you want. The truth is available if they would look at the truth. No, there is no truth available. Your stories you have made that have been contradicted left and right by you even are not one side of the story. It seems like you had multiple sides of the story. There's one channel, and I can't remember what his name was. If I find it, I will put it in the description of this video, and I'll write it along the bottom of the screen here if I can. If you go watch his videos, he takes screen grabs of everything Mac has said since the beginning of this and shows where he completely changes his story multiple times. I'll try to get that information. You should definitely check that out if you're someone who's interested in all this. So I can't imagine any lawyers would even say they're going to sue me. But here's the thing. If they do, awesome. That would be the most publicity I've ever gotten for my channel. Maybe TYM Triple P would get bigger. Because all those times I asked Mac to mention it, he wouldn't do it because people would be like, well, if Yankee can do this, why aren't you doing something similar? And he's not about sending money out. He's about taking money in. So that would be great publicity for me. Like I said, I'd finally have a reason to do a GoFundMe for legal defense. And I'd have a reason to go on the news or go on these channels that talk about like gun-free America and everything and talk about something. So it would be a positive for me if they tried to sue me. Go right ahead. It's going to be hard to show damages, to be honest, considering everyone knows what you did. Your channel is, the AK Forum's got way more information on there than I ever put out. But like I said, go for it. Because the thing I like the best about it is two things. One, I did speak to my attorney, so I did do a little more research. He says he's spoken to Copper Customs attorneys. I don't know how many attorneys a gun shop has. And he says he only owns a tiny portion of them. So how would he have access to their attorneys? Gun shops don't let just every person who owns 2% have access to attorneys. But whatever. But I did speak to my attorney, and one is, he said that since I am basing my belief of the other side of the story, or at least my ability to lend credibility to their story, on the fact that I believe Mac lies about his finances and that he cares only about money, since that is the predicating idea in my head that makes me lend credibility to the other side of the story, well then, that would be part of my defense, and I would have a right to prove that. So I would not only be able to get his financial information for his channel for several years back, also for Copper Customs for several years back, or any other business he owns any say in. I would also be able to get financial records for that Citizens Defense League he's trying to start, all the paperwork information on that. See if he ever took a penny from it, see how much his channel earns, see how much he takes from other gun companies or outside sources for his channel, all the full 30 information. I'd be able to subpoena all his correspondence with the NRA for the last several years, with the GOA for the last several years, with anyone he's basically made contact with that he could have taken money from, that he lies and says he doesn't. So, like I said, it'd be a shit show of a lawsuit, and it would be awesome for me. flat out awesome for me. Most everything I own is protected in a LLC anyway, so fuck it. But getting back to the story here, everything he said doesn't excuse him, period. That whole my side of the story. Because here's the thing, and I've said this in all my live chats, and I've got the online records to back it up. I'm playing with a measuring tape while I'm talking here. I got all the records to back it up. I've said many times, even if these people got these guns made, had them shipped over, had them imported, and then they just went, we don't want them now. Even if that's what happened, which it isn't, because if you go over to the AK forums, that's definitely not what's happening. There's no evidence of that whatsoever. There's evidence to the contrary. Mac's word, or Mac's a carefully crafted story that he has took multiple takes on now, is not evidence to disprove that. So all that information is over there on the AK net. But even if they had just said, we just don't want them now, he would have had every right to step in and buy them. He's got every legal right, period. But there'd be nothing even wrong with him stepping in and buying all of them. If it was for copper customs, and I'll talk about that again in a minute, because that's another thing I talked to my attorney about. If it was for copper customs, they could buy all of them. And they could sell them however they want. But my problem is with the fact that he has a stake in a gun shop, owns at least some of this gun shop. Funny how back when he first started it, it was like, I'm at my gun shop, we're building our gun shop, we're building our new location, but now it's, I just have a tiny little share. So that's even contradictory. But if they'd have bought all of them, that's fine. I would have still roasted them alive for putting them on GunBroker a few at a time after they bought 100 of them. Especially such a desirable gun. I would have been on here scalding them up one side and down the other, be trashing them left and right, because I would have thought what they did was sleazy, and I would dare them to defend their actions. Because that's sleazy, that's profiteering. Controlling the supply of something, controlling the distribution, limiting the distribution into the market, that's market fixing. Sometimes it's borderline illegal. But it's always scummy as far as I'm concerned. So even if, like I said, if he would have bought them fair and square with the blessing of the people on AK Forum, as soon as I found out he put them 5 at a time when he had 100 of them. Oh, and by the way, that whole, I talked to my attorney about that. Well, I said he had 100 and he said he only had 50 and 50 were still coming. My attorney was like, if you've contracted for 100, you have a fucking 100. Doesn't matter if they're in your store or in the pipeline. If you have contracted and you say you have a contract for profit split with this importer, which he thought was weird too, that an importer would enter into a contract for a profit split instead of retailing them off to a distributor. Fucks with their license law time, is what he said. But let's just say that's all true. Still, putting it on GunBroker and trying to jack up the prices would have been a scumbag move, period. There's no defense for it at all. But that's not even the case. And you can make the case that I was totally within my legal rights to go to that business, that importer, and as another business say, I want to have sole distributorship of these rifles and I will guarantee you this much for them, or I'll buy them outright, which is what his original plan was, to buy them outright, according to the people he was talking to, asking for backing. I guess a lot of people didn't back him. That's why he went to the company. I would say my best guess would be that's why he went to the company and arranged the profit sharing, because he couldn't get the cash up to buy all of them. And he promised them way more money if they took profit share. And if he wants to dispute that, he can dispute that. But like I say, that would be my best guess. But like I said, just trying to drive the price up of GunBroker, bad enough. But he didn't just, they didn't say, we don't want them, you take them. That didn't happen. He can say all he wants. Well, yeah, I had a relationship with this importer and he approached me and wanted to know if I wanted to sell all of them. Wouldn't believe that at all, because you were planning on buying them all before he even knew it, I bet. I bet you didn't go to him first. That'd be interesting to find out if we could find some correspondence between the two of you before the correspondence with the people you were asking to fund this or help back this. But that's not what happened. Like I said, he planned from the beginning to swoop in. He swooped in. Now, does he have a legal right to? Yes, if he's going to sell them in their gun shop, they have every right. Copper Customs has every right to buy those guns and sell them in their gun shop or online, wherever they want to sell them. But doing it the way they're doing it on GunBroker, sleazy. It's a slap in the face to their customers and to his followers, etc. And also another thing my attorney said was funny, he said we might want to look into, is he bought 100 guns to resale, but he's not doing it through his gun shop. He's doing it through himself personally. He's like, does he have an FFL? And I was like, well, he's going to say that I don't know if he does or he doesn't. It'd be odd that Mac has an FFL, but, or is he using the FFL from the company? If he's using the FFL from the shop, well, then it's the Copper Customs is the one doing this. And they're the ones doing it on Gunbroker, so they deserve all the shit for that. If he's not, if he's doing it as his own person, well, if he has an FFL, well, then he's still operating as a retailer as far as I'm concerned, since he is a licensed retailer. If he doesn't have an FFL, he's committing a crime that he could go to jail for 5 years for and pay a $250,000 fine for. Because you are allowed, and I told my attorney this, he would say that he's selling from his private collection, and you're allowed. I can sell any gun from my private collection I want, and I can profit off of it. I can buy 10 of some gun, sit on them for a while, thinking prices are going to go up on these, and then I can resell them later. Nothing wrong with that. However, if you enter into a profit-sharing agreement with an importer to sell 100 guns in a short period of time, that's not selling from your private collection. And there is tons of precedent to uphold that is selling firearms without a license. And you could go to jail for that. You don't have 100 of the same items. It would never be normal to have 100 of the same items that you put into storage and immediately list for sale without an FFL. Would not look good on you in a court of law if the ATF came a-knocking. So I don't know where he's going with these stories and what all the information is, because, only he knows the facts on some of these things. But like I said, I give a lot of credibility to the stuff I've seen on the AK forum because it's backed up for years. There's years of information. There's years of an FEG rep saying, hey, we're at this stage. We're at that stage. We're going to get them shipped. We're going to do this. There's years of information of them trying to get them built and succeeding in getting them built and getting the company to agree to do it. There's plenty of information on there right now of people that are angry because they got cut out. All that exists. That's not just my opinion. That's not something I'm saying in a libelous fashion or a slanderous fashion about Mac or anybody. That's just reality. That's there. Anyone who doesn't know that, I've had people come on, I haven't seen any proof that Mac bought AKs out from under anyone. And everybody roasted them in the comments. It's like, dude, fucking do a search. You'll get tons of information. So the fact is, he planned this all along. That's evident from the fact that he went to people and asked for financial backing to do it as early as late 2019, which I said, well, I was wrong about. That's even worse. He went in, he took control of 100 of them. That's what's available. There's a 50 here, there's 50 coming. He took control of all of them. He might pass that control off to somebody else to make it look like, oh, look, someone else has got some too. But that'll be easily traced if it ever becomes a lawsuit. So basically he took in all 100 and then he decided to start doling them out 5 at a time on Gunbroker. He's got 50. Why weren't there 50 listed? Why wasn't there just one listing with 50 guns available? Oh, it's because he's trying to bid everybody up in a frenzy because there's only so many of them. And he knows they're desirable. He's trying to get people in bidding wars. Well, I'll pay 3 times what it's worth just to have it. That's a pretty sleazy business practice, but it's common. So all this stuff about, he's going to sue me. Go ahead. Like I said, I still stand behind everything I've said. Everything I read makes sense to me. The sides I've seen from the other side of the story actually make sense. And knowing what I know about you, it seems like something Mac would do. Your story has evolved as the story went along. And like I said, that one channel, and I'll try to remember to put their information in the comments portion of this video, right below the video, the little description. I'll try to put the link there. Go watch them, people. See what you think. So, like I said, your story has evolved as we went. Now, at no time did you ever do anything illegal as far as I'm concerned, just unscrupulous. And then there's possible legal liability, like if you don't have an FFL and you're trying to manipulate the market, there's possible legal liability there, but I am not concerned about that. I was concerned about the character ramifications here and how you're treating the gun community. That's what bothered me. So if you got any problem with anything I've said, and he said he contacted me, and I will tell people, he did contact me. He sent me a text message. He wanted a private conversation. My attorney said no private conversations. Because if he tapes the conversation, alters it, presents it in a court where he's at, I could be in a lot of trouble because he could alter it. So don't let them have a chance of altering it without there being a public record. Because even if we came back with a tape and said, oh, if we recorded it, they could say, you altered that tape. You added what you said, you changed what you said. So it would be our word against theirs. Whereas if we do it on a public forum, there's a public record of it. YouTube's not going to edit the video for him or me. So if he wants to talk to me, come into one of the live chats or have me on his live chat. Well, actually, as long as it's live, I'll even go on his chat. Won't do any pre-taped. Won't do anything like that. I've had people try to do that shit to me before, then found out later exactly what they're trying to do, trying to get me on tape and be able to edit it. Not going to happen. If you want to talk to me live, face-to-face, like a man in a live chat. That's as close to face-to-face as we get nowadays. So I'm more than willing to do that, but no private chats. If you want to threaten lawsuits, well, then I guess we won't be having a chat because I'll just be waiting for you to serve a suit and we will countersue. But if you want to just say, I'd rather just talk it out, that's fine. Because here, to close everything out tonight, this is my final point. Everything I've said has a lot of evidence behind it. Everything I've said is secondhand up until tonight. Then a lot of that's, well, it's still kind of secondhand, but I spoke directly to the people that he approached. So that's a little closer to home. Also, like I said, so I believe everything I've said is backed up by record in the public. I would defend my position. I would give the reason why I do believe that side of the story, because his side of the story, like I said, altered, and I do believe he would do something like that for the money. But here's the thing I'm going to say that I said already too. Make it right. Do the right thing now. Instead of just choosing to die on this hill, make it right. You stepped in shit. Now you stink of it. Wipe it off. And then apologize for getting it on the rug. Everyone loves a redemption story. The gun community is very forgiving. They're very quick to judge, but they're also very forgiving. In fact, most people won't even get mad at Mac anyway. I mean, I don't even know what kind of damages he would ever show because he's not losing subs. He's not losing money. I lost money for making the statement because everybody that was either a patron of me and Mac is now pretty much just a patron of Mac because they all left that day. And they let me know that on the way out the door. I was a patron of you and Mac. Now I'll just be a patron of Mac. Blah, blah, blah. You know, and I'm like, okay, go. Whatever. If you don't want to believe what happened, you don't want to believe your own eyes, and you want to give Mac 100% credibility and completely ignore the 1,000 other sources, go ahead. But like I said, the internet and the gun community, they're quick to judge, but they love a redemption story. The guy who went astray, but, you know, in the end did the right thing. It's always the best steps toward rebuilding, as far as I'm concerned. And I'm not saying you have to rebuild your channel. Like I said, I don't know. You're not going to lose subs. You get like 30,000 new subs a month. You get 1,000 subs a day. You're not going to be hurting for subs. You got a very popular channel. You're not going to be hurting for money. You're still going to make all the money you made from views and from other things. So if you do this, if you make it right, you're doing it because you want to redeem your character. And like I said, people love that. People are very forgiving. We love people who come forward and say, I did wrong, I'll do better. And that doesn't mean people will forgive you right away. But people will say, at least he's stepping in the right direction. At least he wiped the shit off his shoe and didn't track it all the way through the house. And they might still be mad about the smell at the entryway, but eventually it'll fade. They'll get over it. And they'll be like, wow, it's been a year since he did that and he hasn't done it again. And everything he's done since then is pretty positive. So that's my advice to you. Take advantage of how generous the internet is and the gun community is when it comes to forgiving people, especially people they consider important. And do the right thing. Make sure the people who made it possible for those guns to come into the country can have one if they want one. If you're saying most of them don't even want one, well, then you won't have to sell them one. And then, if you're selling them through Copper Custom, put them in the store. Let your valued customers have a shot at them at a normal markup. Advertise it. This is an exclusive from us to our in-store customers. And if you don't sell all of them, put them online. After that, it's up to you. but at least do it in the right way. Maybe offer some to your subscribers. Most people aren't going to want one. Most people don't want a $5,000 AK. This is a very small market of people who want this. So it's not like a lot of people are going to be like, ooh, I didn't get one. But you might even have trouble selling all 100. But at least you would have tried to do it the right way. So that's the point of this whole rant tonight. I stand by everything I've said. If he wants to threaten to sue me, go ahead. Like I said, could be the best thing that ever happened to my channel. If you want to do the right thing, I welcome you to do the right thing. If you want to come on my channel and try to convince me that all these other people are wrong, dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of people that have another side of the story are wrong, and you are right, come on my channel and talk to me, or have me on your chat and we'll talk. But it's going to be in public. It isn't going to be private. So until then, that's all I got to say to you.